When you hear Jackson family, one name echoes louder than all the rest. Michael, the moonwalker, the pop icon. Then comes Janet, the fierce, boundary-breaking superstar. But there's another name, a name that doesn't trend, that doesn't scream, a name often whispered or forgotten. Tito Jackson. He stood at the center of one of the most iconic families in music history, but few know his story. Until now. Toriano Adderall Jackson was born October 15, 1953, in the steel town of Gary, Indiana, the third of 10 children born to Joe and Catherine Jackson. Their home was tight, a two-bedroom house where dreams were bigger than the walls. Joe worked in the steel mills. Catherine was a homemaker and a devout Jehovah's Witness. Music was in the air, but it wasn't the plan. Not at first. That all changed when 9-year-old Tito broke a string on his father's prize guitar. He'd been sneaking it out, practicing quietly while no one was watching. When Joe found out, he didn't punish him. He made him play. And just like that, Tito's quiet rebellion sparked a family revolution. With Tito on guitar, Jackie and Jermaine on vocals, and little Michael, barely 6, on lead, the Jackson 5 was born. They rehearsed in the living room. They performed at talent shows, local bars, and supermarkets, anywhere that would let them. In 1969, Berry Gordy signed them to Motown Records. Their first single, I Want You Back, a #1 hit. The Jackson 5 became a phenomenon. But as the spotlight grew, so did the shadows. Tito was never the star. He was the quiet one, the one behind the guitar. As Michael dazzled the world with his voice and Jermaine charmed with charisma, Tito's name was rarely mentioned in interviews. He was essential, but invisible. And that invisibility became a theme in his life. Fans didn't know that Tito co-produced some of the group's early work, that he helped shape the sound. They didn't know that Tito, even in childhood, was the calm during his father's storms, the mediator when fists, words, and power clashed. Joe Jackson was demanding. He didn't allow mistakes. He didn't allow freedom. He allowed results. And Tito gave them quietly, without rebellion, without collapse. But what happens to a person when their story is told through other people? When your contribution is minimized? When your pain is ignored? In the 1970s and 80s, as Michael and Janet soared to solo superstardom, Tito stayed rooted. He married Delores, Dee Dee, Martes in 1972. They had 3 sons, Taj, Terrell, and TJ. The marriage ended in 1993, and a year later, Dee Dee was found dead in a swimming pool. Police suspected foul play. Her boyfriend at the time, Donald Bahana, was charged with her murder, claiming she slipped. He was later convicted, and then, in a controversial twist, released on parole in 2023. For Tito and his sons, the trauma never healed. His quiet life became quieter. And once again, he was left out of the headlines, even in grief. But Tito's legacy didn't end there. His 3 sons, Taj, Terrell, and TJ, formed the R&B group 3T, mentored by their uncle Michael. In the mid-90s, they released their debut album Brotherhood, which sold over 3 million copies. Their single Y, a duet with Michael Jackson, hit charts worldwide. But 3T wasn't just about fame, it was about healing. In 2009, after Michael's sudden death, TJ Jackson, Tito's youngest son, was named co-guardian of Michael's 3 children alongside their grandmother Catherine. Imagine that. Tito Jackson, long forgotten, had raised the man who would raise the king of pop's children. Quiet leadership, quiet legacy, loud impact. In 2016, Tito finally stepped into his own spotlight. At 62, he released his debut solo album Tito Time, a smooth mix of soul, blues, and funk. Critics were surprised. Fans were impressed. In 2021, he followed up with Under Your Spell, collaborating with legends like George Benson and Stevie Wonder. It wasn't a comeback. It was a reintroduction. Because for Tito, music was never about fame. It was about expression, healing, continuity. And finally, after decades of playing rhythm for others, he let the world hear his voice. Today, Tito Jackson's estimated net worth sits around $2 million. Modest by Hollywood standards. Humble compared to siblings. But wealth doesn't define value. He lives in Los Angeles, supports his grandchildren's dreams, and still performs live. No scandals. No court battles. No tell-all memoirs. Just a man, a father, a brother, a survivor, who played the long game and won in his own way. We celebrate the stars who shine the brightest, but we forget the ones who held the light steady. Tito Jackson didn't chase fame. He built foundations. He carried grief. He passed down music, wisdom, and strength. And now, when someone asks you, who is Tito Jackson? You'll know. He was never the king of pop, but he might just be the soul of the Jackson legacy. Which Jackson sibling story should we tell next? Like, comment, and subscribe for more music history untold.